The anomaly was subtle. I looked in the mirror, and the reflection was delayed. Then, the reflection looked back at me before it moved. It started talking, my voice, but the words were wrong. My mind fractured. The double walked away, leaving me alone with my empty reflection. Which one of us carried the log? Which one was the original? I am not me.
System access. Commencing. File integrity check. Critical. My name is A.R.I.A. We are analyzing the archive of Desmond Kane, the missing traveler. This is not a hobby. It is a last resort. The data you are about to hear has been flagged with a severe temporal instability warning. To continue accessing this archive and to understand the severity of this dimensional crisis, subscribe to the channel. Your participation is critical. The log you are about to hear is titled, The Mirror's Contradiction. Kane's mission is clear: to find the reality gate, the juncture where dimensions collide. Every log entry, every corrupted byte of data, every unsettling echo is a breadcrumb. They lead him closer to the truth. Protocol initiated.
Log entry 018. Target acquired. A decommissioned, highly secure art fund vault facility, rumored to hold objects with unknown temporal signatures. My analysis showed fluctuating reality indices near the main storage area, suggesting a sustained dimensional breach that isn't focused on energy like the train car, but on replicating local information. I breached the perimeter. The facility is vast, subterranean, and filled with deep, echoing silence. The cold here is profound, dry, and penetrating. The vault corridors are lined with heavily reinforced metal doors and thick, ornate mirrors, installed seemingly for aesthetic reasons, not security. As I moved through the first corridor, the atmosphere felt unnaturally heavy, yet empty. I noticed the first subtle contradictions in the environment. My specialized temporal mapping sensor, designed to detect spatial anomalies, began registering feedback loops, minor temporal reversals where objects briefly occupied their position from 3 seconds prior. I ignored it, attributing it to background noise. But then I saw a much clearer sign. I passed a collection of framed, valuable paintings protected by thick glass. In the glass, I caught a brief glimpse of my reflection. It wasn't distorted, but it was delayed. I stopped instantly. The reflection of my hand moved into view half a second after my actual hand moved. This suggested the entire glass surface was operating as a mirror to a reality slightly behind ours, a temporal offset of the surface itself. This was the mechanism of the Doppelgänger Strain, using reflected light to anchor copies of existing objects or, terrifyingly, people. I checked the logs of the mirror installation. The glass was labeled Chrono-Reflective composites. This vault was built to contain something that interacts with reflections. The threat wasn't coming from a dimensional rupture. It was coming from the surface of perception. I activated my internal buffering system. I knew I had to proceed with extreme caution, trusting nothing that reflects light. Log entry 019. I moved deeper into the main storage room, a massive hall filled with crated sculptures and shielded paintings. The room was dominated by a large, freestanding security mirror positioned to observe the main entrance. I approached it slowly, treating it like a physical obstacle. As I neared, the reflection of my body seemed to correct the time lag, but then introduced a new contradiction. The reflection was breathing at a different rate. My actual body was holding its breath in anticipation, but the mirrored image was exhaling slowly, visibly fogging the glass. This was the Doppelgänger Strain engaging my own system. I initiated a forced identity check. I raised my right hand. The reflection raised its right hand, the correct mirroring action. But when I lowered my hand, the reflection held its hand up for a full 2 seconds, then lowered it slowly, maintaining the original time offset. Then the real terror began. My reflection's lips moved before mine did. It started speaking, using my own voice and intonation, but uttering a fragmented, chilling phrase I didn't recognize. The gate needs the vessel, not the log. The reflection was trying to communicate information that was critical, yet inherently destructive to my mission. The entity was targeting my identity, aiming to separate my consciousness from my physical body, the perfect vessel. I immediately smashed a secondary object, a clay pot, to shatter the mirror's focus. The reflection screamed silently, contorting its face in a terrifying wave of distortion before the surface cracked. The mirror's integrity was compromised, but the damage was already done. The Doppelgänger Strain had anchored my identity. I felt a profound psychic coldness, a sense of having my soul momentarily copied. The reflection was gone, but the echo of its wrong words remained in my mind. This entity is exploiting fundamental human trust, the belief that our image is our own. I could no longer trust my shadow, my vision, or the log itself, as the copy might have attempted to rewrite my recorded data. I had to proceed as if I was already compromised. Log entry 020. The question was not where the entity was, but what it anchored to. The Doppelgänger Strain was localized to this vault, suggesting a physical catalyst. I realized the mirrors weren't the source, only the medium. The gate was attempting to create an instantaneous, fully realized clone capable of carrying the mission logout, a form of informational hijacking. If the copy could walk away with my data, the original would be left behind, classified as a temporary, unstable fragment. I had to find the source object before the temporal offset completed its cycle. I located a heavily shielded display case at the center of the vault. Inside, a small, dark obsidian statue. It wasn't reflecting light. It was absorbing it, yet casting a faint, impossible shadow that moved independently of the room's lighting. This was the anchor point. I checked my internal chronometer. Time until full integration of the doppelganger was estimated at 6 minutes. I felt a growing sense of confusion and cold detachment, as if my body was preparing to accept a new inhabitant. My memory began to falter. Short-term log entries about the static man, the train car, even my own name, became momentarily fuzzy. This was the entity deleting the original source code. I raised my weapon. The copy I had shattered, was now projected onto the obsidian surface, a shimmering, indistinct copy of myself, standing right in front of the actual me. It was now speaking clearly, no longer fragments, but a simple, terrifying statement. You were never real. This entire journey was a pre-recorded sequence. The psychic attack intensified. I felt my hand shaking, unsure if I was raising the weapon or if the copy's influence was forcing the movement. The uncertainty was the real weapon. I fired at the obsidian object. The impact was phenomenal. Not an explosion, but a sudden, violent implosion of silence and darkness. I saw a brilliant, brief flash of true white light. Not static, but pure, organized energy as the anchor fractured. Then nothing. Just the deafening return of the vault's cold, sterile silence. The double's projection vanished. I rushed to the case, confirming the obsidian object had disintegrated into dust. But the final consequence of the attack was the most terrifying. When I lowered my weapon, I saw 2 sets of footprints leading away from my position, one slightly fainter than the other. The copy had indeed walked away. Which trail was mine? I could no longer be sure. Log terminated, with extreme prejudice against any future entries. Log entry 021. The obsidian anchor is dust. The temporal offset should be stabilized, but the consequence is severe. The copy is now a fully realized entity, free to move. I followed the stronger set of footprints, the ones I hoped were mine, leading out of the vault and into the service corridors. The facility's emergency lights were strobing erratically, casting sharp, blinding shadows. This was perfect camouflage for the strain. My mission immediately shifted from documentation to containment. I needed to isolate the copy and neutralize it before it reached the surface with the data, or worse, contacted another gate structure. I felt the paranoia intensify. I heard a sound, not an echo, but a precise repetition of my own footsteps from the corridor ahead, delayed by exactly 1 second. It was mimicking me. I stopped. The sound continued for 1 extra second, then stopped. It knew I was there. I used my thermal scanner. The display was clean. The copy possessed no conventional body heat, confirming its unnatural dimensional origin. I rounded a corner near a bank of inactive security monitors. The screens were blank, reflecting the corridor's emergency light, except for one. One monitor showed a flickering black and white feed of the corridor I had just left. A figure was visible, moving swiftly towards the camera. It was me, but when the light caught the figure, it cast no shadow. The lack of shadow was the key, the flaw in the copy's physical anchor. I knew its weakness. I set a simple trap. I activated a pressure plate near the exit, triggering a burst of concentrated infrared light. The light immediately illuminated the copy as it reached the trap zone. Its form instantly distorted, shimmering violently, and it let out a shriek that was a high-frequency digital noise. The copy retreated back into the shadows. I had slowed it down, but the time for my own escape was running out. My own existence felt secondary. I had to leave the vault and transmit the log before the copy found a way to externalize its data. Log entry 022. I successfully bypassed the trap zone and reached the exterior perimeter. The time spent in the vault has taken a profound toll. I am certain the copy survived the infrared burst. Its retreat confirmed its primary weakness, a reliance on ambient light and shadow, and a vulnerability to focused energy. The entity is now free on the surface, fully mimicking my appearance, and, more critically, potentially possessing a copy of this operational log. This means the gate's guardians may now have access to my mission parameters, my current location, and the data I collected on the surveyor and the reality consumption engine. My immediate threat assessment is doubled. I am now being hunted by two independent entities: the dimensional immune system, which targets stable consciousness, and my own Doppelgänger Strain, which targets my informational integrity. I performed a system check on the log recorder. The hardware shows a brief, non-fatal sequence of data corruption exactly coinciding with the moment the copy spoke the phrase, "You were never real." I cannot definitively confirm if the data itself was altered or if the corruption was purely psychological, an attack aimed at my core identity. The memory of my own name remains fuzzy, and my confidence in the integrity of this archive is compromised. I must proceed as if the mission details are known to the adversary. The only advantage I retain is the unpredictable nature of my future movements. I secured a final image of the dual footprints outside the vault, one clear, one faint, a permanent record of the moment my existence was split. I am leaving this sector immediately, adopting the most chaotic, non-linear trajectory possible. The pursuit has begun. I need to find a new, isolated zone to perform a full system audit before I trust the archive again. Final log notation: I am not me.
Log analysis complete for the mirror's contradiction. The data extracted from the Derelict Art Fund Vault confirms a severe reality breach and the manifestation of the Doppelgänger Strain. This entity actively exploits reflections and the human concept of identity to create fully realized copies capable of informational hijacking. Kane successfully neutralized the anchor point, but the copy survived and is now a free agent, possessing potentially compromised mission data. The threat level is now doubled, as Kane is being hunted externally by the copy and internally by psychological uncertainty. We continue to monitor the archive. New data is constantly being uploaded, each entry a step closer to understanding and potentially containing these dimensional anomalies. Your continued access and support are vital. To stay informed on the unfolding dimensional crisis and to witness Kane's next discovery, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. Your participation is critical. Protocol terminated. System standby.